Hello. Welcome again to Alcoholics Unanimous. My name is Josh. I'm an alcoholic. This is the third episode in the podcast. So thank you for tuning back in. This episode, I kind of wanted to... it's actually brought to my attention that my story wasn't really known, which... I haven't really talked about it in depth of why I got to where I got to, which would probably be helpful in explaining how I got past that. I'm going to bring that kind of into light and explore that aspect of like my journey, I guess, the part that got me to the rock bottom, and then the part that shot me past it, I guess. And I think that's kind of what I wanted to do with this podcast in the first place, was talk about that stuff so that maybe subconsciously some things could come together. So, I mean, I think probably that's what a big part of this is that aspect for me, and kind of, I don't know, talking my way through it, just like anything else. But, so, I mean, a lot of people that even know me know I've changed a lot for the better. But they might not know the exact specifics of how I got there. There's a few of you, and you know who you are. But basically, surface level, if you kind of knew me, you'd be like, oh, yeah, Josh was kind of like to party. Oh, Josh went to rehab. Oh, Josh is doing good. That's probably all you would know. And, that's probably all you would need to know. So all you should really care about. But, I mean, it's just not something that I would kind of bring up the specifics of. It's not like something I need to talk about every day anyways, and go into these conversations with my friends about it, because I'm not solely, I'm also living my life. I want to move forward as much as I want to look at the past and try to make sense of those pieces. But that painting's already been painted, so the only thing you can really do is look at it from time to time and enjoy it. But you could do your analyzations and look at your actions and why you did certain things. And a lot of people will have hindsight 2020, which is good, because that's how you're learning. And you can look back and be like, oh, I was so stupid then. But so what is that? And what is he implying with that statement? That you're smarter now. And you should be. You shouldn't be dumber than you were yesterday. Or I'll give you 2 days. You shouldn't be dumber than you were 2 days ago. So, anyways, yeah, I want to get into that too for myself and go back and kind of look at why I got to where I did. So yeah. I mean, my parents are not, drinkers or drug users at all. I've seen my dad drink maybe 5 times in my life, and it was always Mike's Hard Limeade, Foster's. Saw him drink a Foster's. I don't know why I like Foster's. And my mom would have a rum and coke every 5 years, maybe, and then act all ridiculous. Sorry, Mom. Come on. So they didn't use any drugs or alcohol, and just really didn't get into it really ever. So it wasn't part of their life. And so me, on the other hand, yeah, I mean, I was raised like that, but I was always curious with it. Always interested in like that side. Like, oh, that looks fun. People look like they're having fun, and so I was always curious about it. What was going on exactly, but I was interested. But yeah, I mean, the gene that they call it definitely runs in my family. There are, there's I'm not going to name anybody, obviously, but there's just people on both sides that have gone through their stuff just like I have, and gotten through it, for better or for worse. But we all have our own journey. So yeah, I think I had kind of just a genetic predisposition, and I guess I should probably clarify what that it really is. What it's been described to me is you have a gene that is more susceptible to an addiction. And basically, when that gets triggered and it turns on for the first time and you get your addiction, that's it. You have an addictive gene, and you always will, to that thing. So when people say that like it's a genetic thing, it truly is, and there's studies and stuff about it. But yeah, I mean, an addict can go their whole life not really, not being addicted to anything chemically, but they'll still have those tendencies, of course, throughout their life. But they usually can do it to healthy things. Like, I would argue a lot of highly expert, like any expert in any field, is probably an addict of, but they're just an addict about that. Like, if somebody is, excuse me, if somebody is NASA, for example, take an engineer, somebody who's, I don't know, trying to figure out a quicker, cleaner, more efficient way to transfer fuel in a rocket from the storing bay to the thrusters. Those are all real words, but who knows if those are right. But if they love their job, I would imagine that somebody that's into that would be very kind of curious, open-minded, and want to pursue something like that, and just kind of get infatuated by it, and just get dug in, and probably athletes too, and even more so because they get that physical dopamine release from doing the running and jumping, adrenaline rush, and pressure, and all that stuff that they thrive on, and which is really cool to see somebody use it for good, and which is something I think I've picked up on the last 10 months or so, less than 10 months. Don't want to give myself that. I'm almost at 300 days. I'm a couple days away. I don't want to jinx it, but God willing. Fuck, that's crazy. 300 days. Wow. God willing, of course. Also, Josh willing. I have faith in myself not to drink. So, I think that's okay. You can have faith in yourself. And that's a tricky one. People challenge me for that, but you gotta give yourself some props. Don't ever sell yourself short. Look at where you came from. And I'm gonna explain to you where I came from. So yeah, I mean, growing up, my childhood was, I don't know, it was different. I guess I was always doing something. I was always playing baseball or basketball. I was in martial arts for 15 years, long time. I played baseball basically year round for 10, 12 years too. So, I mean, it wasn't like I had a lot of free time between homework and school and after school stuff, and I just didn't really have time to like hang out and kind of be a kid for a lot of things. I was just always kind of going, and that was my mentality, was like grind harder than everybody else, because you need to earn everything. And it's a beautiful sentiment, but it was drilled into me very, very young age. And when you're young and you think that's how life is, just kind of your brain just molds around that. And so you start living this life that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, if you work harder than everybody else, things will work out for you, because people will see that you're working hard, which that's not true at all. That's why I say kind of sometimes you got to be like, yeah, I did that. Look somebody in the eyes and be like, I did that. I got sober. I did that. So that's why I say you should give yourself some props, man. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, it was like instilled in me that mindset, and that's a good mindset to have, but it's just not necessarily real. But yeah, I mean, growing up, also our relationship is good now, but our relationship is really good now. We're really really good friends, and we talk all the time. And we've gotten past a lot of this, and I don't think we even need to necessarily, dive into it, but just to give some perspective. Growing up, my dad was very strict, and very expected a lot out of me. And then I think he also expected myself to expect a lot out of me. And so oftentimes we didn't see eye to eye. It caused some strifes with us, because he didn't understand my mentality and I didn't understand his. And so we, butted heads. It's kind of a father-son thing, but I mean, it was strict, and from a young age, it was really strict. So I don't know. I just remember being in fear a lot and not wanting to get in trouble, that kind of thing. So I'm sure that kind of if you feel like you're in fear all the time and all that shit, even if it's that childhood, on edge fear, where you're making a bigger deal of it than it is probably what, you remember those movies you watched as a kid, like Jumanji used to scare the shit out of me. When the kid starts turning to the monkey, that used to freak me out. And those big ass hornets, oh, and the vines, oh. But yeah, I mean, when you're a kid, that's all you know. And of course, now it's just part of growing up. You get calloused by life in good ways and bad, but I don't know. I think it just kind of, that's probably some of my fault too, for maybe not analyzing the world as much as I should have. And just kind of taking it from face value. That's not what it is. Nothing is ever as it seems. no matter how obvious or blatant the perceived object is, there's always something going on, even on a metaphysical level. It's crazy. But anyways, turn this up a little bit. So yeah, I think I had this kind of weird expectation of like how things would work out. And I remember growing up too, I never felt like I ever really fit in. If any, I mean, people that do know me as a pretty, like an oddball. Josh it's just Josh. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Oh, Josh, fucking guy. Funny guy. So, yeah, I was kind of like that, but in like a negative way. Growing up, I always saw it as weird. I was always concerned with being, I had this conversation with my dad too. He said that I was always concerned with being normal. I'd have like a thought or something, or I don't know, whatever, man. I'd ask my dad, I was like, is that normal? I was always thinking, like, is that normal? It's just what everyone else thinks. Like, I was always like, what the fuck? Am I the only one that thinks like this? For everything. And well, also now I know that's true, actually. Like, legitimately, I am the only person that thinks like this, because I'm the only me, Even across the multiverse, I challenge all me's. Come at me. Me. Come on. Oh my God, that was stupid. I'm so sorry. But yeah, anyways. So I always used to think like, is what my normal? That's why I was always concerned with that. And, which is weird for a little kid to be worried about that. Is this normal? Which I guess is kind of a red flag. Hey, is what I'm feeling normal? Probably. Okay. Sweet. Figured that one out. But no, it's not that simple, right? Obviously, there was something kind of weird about the way I thought and interacted and stuff. And I really remember growing up, like once I figured out that, once it clicked that I was like, oh, there's something weird about me. Then I started figuring out how to talk to people. And that actually didn't happen until I started drinking, which is, well, I'll get into that too. But, yeah, I kind of like, I had to teach myself like how to be social, and I was conscious about it, when I hit that point. And that was through the drinking. But yeah, growing up, I was always like super quiet, super shy. But the people that did know me thought I was, very funny and just, odd, just the odd guy. And, or maybe I'm putting that on myself. I don't know, because I felt weird. But yeah, so yeah, I remember experiencing pretty heavy depression as a kid, and I didn't really know what that word ultimately meant at the time, but I did know I know now that I was feeling it then. It was something. It's like this weird dark, like shadow. I saw this one animation for one of these bipolar medications online, and this was years ago. This was like when I was watching TV that one time, and it came on. It was like this little black blob like this kind of amorphous black hole, dark energy material. You know, like on this girl's shoulder. Some days it was like small, and she gets going about her day. Some days it's a little bit bigger, and she's like, and then some days it was just like where she was like crawling from it, and it was really accurate to how it feels inside. And you know, later on, I learned that I am bipolar, and that this medication does help. But yeah, I didn't know at the time. That's kind of what I was going through for years. And I would say that that kind of started when I was, I think probably when puberty hit, man. I started changing. Got them little hairs growing down there. And yeah, your body starts changing. Your hormones and levels are rearranging. Your body's beginning to ripen, I guess. And so that's kind of when things started getting kind of bad. Probably right around 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there is when it started. Can't remember. Yeah, I would say probably started around 11, yeah. And so I got to this like weird point where I just was like, nothing matters, none of this matters. I'm a piece of shit. No one likes me. Blah 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 blah. Telling myself the story in my head of somebody I wasn't in the end. Because if you asked probably anybody that knew me, I'm sure they would have been like, oh yeah, he's cool. But he's like, yeah, quiet, whatever. But yeah, so I was going through that from like 11 or so, and then it hit again pretty hard. I remember in like my sophomore year of high school. That was probably where the biggest depression hit. No, that was second biggest depression. And then actually my junior and senior year were pretty good, considering where I was. And I don't know, I guess if you're bipolar and you don't know it, you're not paying attention to the A and B cycle. You're just paying really attention to the B cycle, which is the negative part, the bad, the depressing, and the A cycle being the kind of the manic high and that weird euphoria you just kind of feel. So similar to that, it's like a negative feeling like that. That's the B side. Is like this. Imagine, I guess it would be like a dystopia instead of euphoria. So it's this dystopic feeling. Fucking, if that's not a word, I just made it. So everybody can just take it to the bank. So Webster, you nerd. Yeah, you fucking nerd. Why would you want to put words all together?
Well, what we need is all the words. Imagine if we had all the words. And their definition. And an example of a usage in a sentence. Why don't we add the etymology roots?
I'm sorry. There's a lot of noise going on outside, so I didn't want to say anything serious. So I did a voice. And see, that would be part of like, you'd be like, oh yeah, Josh would do that. Things got a little weird, so he made a funny noise. And usually it's pretty funny. I make good funny noises. Like, it goes back to being a silly goose. You gotta be a silly goose sometimes and just, love it. Just be a silly goose. Because why not, man? Who cares? Just be a silly goose. you're going to love yourself so much more. The silly goose moments are the best. We have a silly goose like moment. A silly goose moment is like, you know, when Plankton in SpongeBob, he's like, F is for fire, burn down the whole town. U is for uranium bombs, N is for no survivors. And he goes, no, that's not what it is, Plankton. It's not about destruction. It's about F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere and anytime at all down here in the deep blue sea. What they don't say about that song is you could do that on the land as well. And I think that got lost in the translation for other people as opposed to where I got that. I'm like, oh, that applies to land. And I think that was the purpose of Sandy. Was like, yo, she's from the land, though. She's from Texas. First of all, she's real. She's from Texas. All right? That's fuck. I would choose somebody from Texas. You're gonna send somebody to Mars. Who you gonna? Texas. I wish we could. No, we can't do that. Then we'd lose Texas. Well, you can't send Texas around in space as like a spaceship, because then what would we do here? But anyways, the point of that is Plankton goes from being this senile, terrible person, and he gets to this moment where he goes, what's this feeling? It's like, there's something wrong with me? It just feels like happiness. Or he feels like all warm and fuzzy. And SpongeBob's like, that's how you're supposed to feel. And that actually really resonated with me, because I know that fucking scene verbatim. Not really verbatim, but I remember the important concepts of it, which was just be happy, and be a silly goose. Because if there's a moment where it's okay to be a silly goose, I think you should always be a silly goose. If it's not okay to be a silly goose. Oh man, I got off on the silly goose. But yeah, I would have these moments where I'd go from like the super depressed, really crazy times like I had when I was a sophomore, and then like junior senior year really were a lot better. Didn't even think about it. Actually, that was how I got off on that. It's something that I actually learn now to appreciate, but a lot of the stuff when you don't realize you have like something wrong with the way that your body deals with things as opposed to the average on a sample size strictly basis, chemical wise, scientifically, things like that. If you don't know you have that wrong with you, you're not paying attention to it, and so you're not taking inventory of how you feel at any present moment, how you feel after something happens, registering why you felt that, connecting the two dots basically of what happened and here you are with your feelings. And really that kind of just builds after time of focusing on it, which is what you do in rehab and really just in AA in general and in recovery, and taking inventory. You should just always be tapping in with yourself. As addicts, what did we do? We reached for the glass every time, every couple minutes. We reached for the drug of our choice, or whatever it was. You kept the habit, right? So instead of doing those physical habits, make a mental habit and do that instead, and check yourself, see how you feel. And you don't have to be an addict to do this. I think everyone should do this. Where you just kind of sit with your feelings. If you feel angry, feel angry. If you feel upset, feel upset. You can take it. You can definitely take it. But feel where it's coming from. Don't react right away. If you don't have to, obviously if it's life-threatening, go to sleep. But if you don't have to react, then don't. Sit with it. That one little beat, that one breath, something happens, you feel that swell. Just recognize that. See the wave coming like a surfer. This is where you go to surf mode. You feel that wave coming. You see it. Okay, start paddling a little bit. Here it comes. Waves crashing. Okay, felt that moment. Rode it out. That was a tight one. I was in that barrel, real tight. But I made it out, right? That's how it feels to me. Where it's like, and then you almost get to like look at it afterwards, a different perspective. You're not initially angry. You're now inquisitive. You're now interested in why you feel the way you feel instead of I just feel this way. Because what do people do? And they make mistakes and thinking everyone knows what they're feeling and thinking, right? You got to. If you don't know where you're at, if you don't know how you feel and what's making you tick, how is anybody else really to know? Unless they just spent so much time with you that they could really pay attention to you. And, some of us are lucky enough to have friends like that, which I am. Shout out to y'all. That can like look at me and be like, yo, you do this. You're too much in your head. Like, but this is what you do. And it is super cool to have that. I mean, shout out to my homies and my friends that are there for me. Y'all know who you are. But, so, yeah, I mean, that's one way to at least recognize the way that you feel and why you feel the way that you feel. I think that is ultimately the most important thing. If you don't know how and understand how you feel and what made you feel that way, then you're lost. You don't know what's going on with you. And I truly believe that. I think you need to take inventory of yourself really all the time. I think moment by moment you should be taking inventory. And kind of, don't get freaking crazy with it. Don't have to walk over the cracks. Don't be that OCD about it. But, I mean, take some time to actively do it, And take that time to... I like to bring it to this metaphor. It's like when you're driving and you need to get somewhere, okay, it's going to take us 10 minutes to get there. Let's leave 15 minutes. Let's leave 20 minutes early. And that way we'll be there on time. We need to definitely be there on time today. And so you start catch your first red light. First light you go through, no big deal. And when go through a cycle, and then green, it's green. Oh fuck, it's yellow. Shit, I'm not gonna make it red. Second light, right? Sitting there, goes through all the cycles. Okay, your turn finally. Third light, and you're like, fuck. 3 in a fucking row, and they all turn yellow while you're the first car coming up to it, right? Now you're gonna be late. Now you're stressing. Now your day's ruined because of that, right? But let's say you need to be there in 10 minutes. No, it'll take you 10 minutes to get there. You need to be there in 20 minutes. So you drive. You get every green light you can imagine. Breeze on through. You get there in 9 minutes. You don't even think about that, do you? That doesn't even register. Doesn't get implemented into your brain as something that you should remember. And it's really not your fault, because it is something we're not wired to do. If in our animalistic nature, we remember the bad things so well because those things caused us pain, whether it be emotional, mental, physical, anything. We remember those moments because our body's telling us, stay away from that. That gave you pain. Don't go by that again. Don't associate with that again. So your body is taking these notes and these memories on things like, stay away from that, oh, that hurt me. Stay away from that, that hurt me. But it doesn't really register like the things that make you kind of happy and the things that tick you in a good way, the things that make you smirk a little bit, when somebody, I don't know, just somebody says, if I hear like just out in the random, out in the wild, if I hear somebody go, sorry, I just go, I like it. It sounds nice. So, and I recognize that because I caught myself, I was like, I like that when someone says sorry. And it's nothing, it's just, it makes me smirk. And so when you're getting those green lights and you're going through, it's what there was no stress caused to you in that moment, so you don't need to remember it. So that's why I think it's important to ultimately do a lot of inventory when you're happy and when you feel good. A lot of people are just like, don't focus on the feeling. I mean, don't focus on what, the explanation and the word. Just, focus on the moment. Yeah, that's great. That's great. But you gotta have some basis of reality and be able to tether yourself to something. Otherwise, you're just gonna be in Elon's Roadster out there. It's gonna miss Mars wherever it's going, but not Mars. Yeah, so it's a weird noise. But yeah, you gotta tether yourself to some sort of reality and at least have an idea. That's why I think it's good to do it when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're happy, when you're excited, when you're neutral, complacent, empathetic, sympathetic, even hateful, if there is that in you. Sit with that. Feel why you feel the way you feel. So, yeah. Anyways. Yeah, you don't know when you're in those states that like you have this chemical imbalance that's making it feel good and then bad. And it's just human nature to not remember the good if you're not really cognizant of that. So yeah, I didn't, when the depression hit, it's like the hardest thing was like trying to click myself over to realizing, there's a lot of great things about what's going on here. But yeah, junior, senior year, really good for me. And then after that, senior year had kind of a bunch of things kind of happened to me that weren't what I expected from the hard work that I had put in for all those years, and the effort I put in for other people, thinking it would have got returned as like, I thought it was just a normal social barter system. It made sense to me, right? Be nice to somebody so that they will be either nice to you back or nice to somebody else. That's kind of how it went. Like, wow, this is easy. A plus B equals C. Be nice, and they'll be nice, and everyone will be nice. No. But it's a beautiful sentiment, and I respect my younger self for being so naive. But, yeah, a lot of things kind of just ended up falling apart at the time, and went through a really bad breakup then, too. With this girl that I was really, really, I just really liked her. And it was at that time, just turning around that age, 18 and stuff, and so moving on, everyone's moving on to college and all that kind of stuff, so it's just there's like a big life moment, and kind of everything that I had from about 1 week to another, really, 2 weeks to another, everything was good, going as planned, and everything wasn't. Our baseball team got disqualified from the what is it called? CCS. We had won the quarterfinal game, and then and then they disqualified us because we broke a stupid rule that doesn't even make sense. I'm not gonna go into it. So that was cut short. Didn't get leading up to that, didn't get any offers to go anywhere, actually, which I was, at least one. There was some talks, but at least one. So yeah, I ended up going to junior college for stuff like that, but so that didn't work out very well. Me just kind of detaching from my friend group, and honestly, like, I had switched from that school. I was in public school in Hollister for the longest time, then I switched over to this private school in Watsonville for a while. After, I guess, halfway through my freshman year, that's when I switched over there. So like, I kind of had to like make a whole bunch of new friends, which I did over the course of the next 3.5 years, and it took me a while. But then when I got to that, then boom, then we moved on again. So, I think I ended up picking a junior college that a lot of my my schoolmates from the year before that were the graduating class above me. I ended up going there because I knew a bunch of them, and I wanted to play baseball with people that I knew, because I didn't want to make new friends again, because it's tough, especially when you are just at that age and things are changing and everything's. I felt pretty alone through a lot of these parts. It was like I just felt like, oh, I'm the new person here. Got to start over here, and I don't really like starting over. But sometimes you gotta do it. But I just, it was kind of tough going up through that. I mean, I kept a lot of friends. I know a lot of people from both sides of it, but both schools and both school systems. But yeah, so that was tough, having to say goodbye to all my friends, and they all had cool shit going on, and instead of me going to 4 years, going to play at a junior college that even that was like at the tryouts, it's like still tryouts, right? Like you still got to do that, but it's like talk to the coach and a little bit, and that's it. That's the gist of junior college interest. So that didn't work out. And so, yeah, that's when I started actually smoking a bunch of weed, was during that time. A lot of weed, pretty much all day, every day. And I did that because I just didn't like, it really boiled down to I didn't like how I felt. It got to the point where I was so out of control with my emotions, so out of control with the inside part of me. I was so concerned with what was going on around me, the outside of me, even my appearance, what I look like. All that kind of stuff was like more important than what's going on in my head and with my emotions and stuff. Yeah, I got high instead, and just as a numbing agent, which is what alcohol took over for that down the road. But yeah, I smoked a lot of weed then, and I was just massively depressed and just thoughts of suicide all the time. Thoughts of suicide all the time. Just hoping that, like, on the freeway, someone would just take me out. I wanted to die, but I was too afraid and too probably ashamed to actually kill myself. And I've written a song about it, but I couldn't really, on a selfish level, I guess, my own selfishness that made me think this, but I couldn't let my family off like that. I couldn't do that to them, to leave them wondering the rest of their lives where they messed up, when instead it was where I was messing up. And I just didn't know it. So selfishly, a big reason why I stayed alive was so that my family didn't have to explain that to themselves, and that didn't have to become a reality for them. So that's what kept me alive, was that one last shred of humanity that was still in me. And that stayed throughout my whole addiction and usage phase. I just kind of was like that all the time. Just didn't want to feel, so I numbed myself away, and was too scared to kill myself. So yeah. And then kind of after that, it was just like kind of just downhill from there. Kind of just stopped giving up in school. Started giving up in school. I stopped trying. Started dropping out of classes all the time in junior college just to go get high, sit in my car, listen to music. I did a lot of reading too, like read books and stuff while I was getting high. So I ditched class and stuff. And then so I ended up failing out of this second junior college I transferred to, so I couldn't play on the baseball team. So then now I had free time, so I decided to start working full time, and now I have money to get more weed and to buy alcohol and go out now. And I'm over 21 now, and I can do all that stuff. So I just started working so I could just fuel my day-to-day kind of, drugging and using. So yeah, failed out of junior college, started working for a while, full time. And then after about a year, transferred, I guess not transferred, started out at a private, it was like a private trade art school. I will not say the name because I was not happy with them. Everything you need to learn is on YouTube. If you're like, I want to go to school for something, watch everything you can on YouTube first and then ask yourself that question. Straight up. I should have done that. But they should just let you do that. They should have just like specific thing. Just watch YouTube videos on different careers and like the coolest shit that you could do so people can actually see what the fuck is out there. Go to YouTube. If you want to go to school for something, go to YouTube and learn everything you can first. And then ask yourself that question. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Went back to school. And I thought I was on the right path. It was went for audio engineering, sound engineering. And at this time is kind of when I started really developing my drinking habit, because I was going to school and I actually qualified for a grant because of like stuff I had turned in as my portfolio. It's like I guess it was a scholarship thing, but so I was getting like rent free and stuff. So that part was cool. But other than that, the school fucking sucked. But yeah, I mean, that also added to what my frustration with. I thought I'd made the right choice. I thought this was my thing. I was going to do that. And no. So another blow. But yeah, during this time is when it really got bad with the drinking. I would say I just started I was like one day just, let me have a couple drinks while I'm sitting here playing video games. It's like a really nice Thursday or something. Okay, have a morning drink. And go have a drink and play video games and go about my day. Come back and drink more that night with my friends or whatever. And that was like all really I needed. Was that kind of, I can drink before I do stuff. Like, fuck it. So I started drinking a lot and just would wake up and pretty much, go smoke my cigarette, go do my thing, start drinking. And then, it just got worse and worse over time. Started drinking more and more. Started getting like really drunk before class, bringing the bottle to school, drinking there, smoking there, I was literally just fucked up all the time and still not fucked up enough. And that was my problem. Actually, I nailed it there. I was perpetually just fucked up and not fucked up enough. So that's what fueled the addiction spiral, that negative feedback, a negative loop that you get stuck in. That started happening to me. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely something that I needed to I don't know how else I would have learned any of this, honestly, if I didn't go through something like that. Because for me, over time, it's like my head was like this crazy, pendulum swinging back and forth, and that's where my mentality was, and I was all over the place, and then it kind of slowed down over time, and now it's kind of steady. It's a steady ring, and then yeah. So, I mean, it just got really bad. Kept drinking more. I was just massively depressed from heartbreak from things not working out for something that I've worked so hard for. Some secondary and tertiary things not working out either. That being like girlfriend stuff and, just friends and in that area, like social life. And so, it was like I had a friend I could drink and it would just go away. That feeling, I hated myself so much, like really hated myself. And it's so stupid because I would say like these terrible things to myself in my head that I really believed. Like I was like, fucking piece of shit, fuck you. And look at myself in the mirror like, fuck you. That was really how I felt. So imagine those three, that combination. You hate yourself so much that you want to kill yourself, but you're too afraid to die because you still care enough about others to not cause them pain. So it's just like trapped in this triangle of just craziness, and gotta shout out that side of me that was on the ball about it and still hung true to myself. But yeah, just was lonely, and drinking filled that void that was empty inside me. And as temporary as it was, I could always buy more. It's the most prevalent drug in the world. It is a drug. Fucking at me, I dare you. So yeah, I mean, it was just always, I could always re-up, and I always did, because why wouldn't I? Gave me what I was looking for, which was a little bit of dullness around the edges, a little loss of self-control, inebriations. I also figured, I've lived my whole life up to this point pretty much sober because I was working hard at something. And then that didn't work out. So let me try it this way. And, this is way more fun. What am I doing? What have I been doing, dude? This is stupid. Let me try it this way. And so I did that. And, yeah, it was just a tough time for me. I wasn't really processing things the way I should be, as I am now. So yeah, just got worse and worse. And I took, I think the first, I would say it would probably be about the first 2 years of my drinking was not, or my heavy drinking, my alcoholic drinking was not terribly bad. And you wouldn't have, maybe at the surface level, realized it, but I look at now like sneak drinks sometimes and just drink when I wasn't supposed to, because that'd add a little more fun, a little more challenge to the game, and also would actually make it seem worth playing. That's what it was doing. So after that, those 2 years, then the 3 years preceding heavy, I got involved with another girlfriend. We ended up living together, and we were both just a mess. Like, I was obviously an alcoholic to the maximum, and she'll give the second on that. Yeah. But she wasn't in the best place either, so we both brought each other way, way down and made each other worse. We both had that same kind of gene of like not that depression, and two people together like that I don't think are good in the end, because you don't have enough to balance each other out. If you're too similar like that, then it's like a hurricane meeting or it's like a tornado meeting a raging firestorm. It just throws it all in the air and fucks everything up. And that was probably the worst. We were together for a year and a half or so. Year and a half. It's all pretty fuzzy. I mean, there was good times and a lot of bad times, but that was probably my rock bottom. I was working with this production studio at the time for a couple of years. Got to the point where I was renting out a studio space from him, or from that studio or label, and they kind of saw my demise as well. They saw me getting worse and worse. I ended up actually getting kicked out of that, and so that was a big blow to me too, because that was kind of like my spot. But I did fuck up. I used the sacred space for unsacred acts, in all sense of that. Like, I mean, I just didn't respect like anyone else really in that place ultimately, because I didn't respect myself. So why would I care to respect other people or even realize that I'm not? I think that was it. I just didn't realize I wasn't. I was like, I have an opportunity to do something for myself, so fuck this. Like, I'll do it for myself. 'Cause I spent so much time kind of not doing that. So this was my way of getting back, I guess. So yeah, I mean, just got worse through that. I mean, had a horrible breakup, and then kind of a few stints afterwards, and then pretty much since I got sober, I haven't really talked to her. No harm, no foul. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, all that kind of combined, after that was all I did was just slam drinks. All I did was drink alcohol for that whole time. Got to the point where before I was going to rehab, I was drinking at least a fifth of whiskey a day. And for those of you who don't know, 750 milliliters is a fifth. And that's the normal big bottle that you see at the store. Oh, why am I explaining that to anybody that's here right now? I drink at least, that was on a chill day. That was a day I didn't go anywhere, do anything. It's my day off. Just, I would drink a lot if I was going to go out. So I would drink my normal stuff, and then usually we'd go pregame at whoever's house, and then we go out and drink more. So like I would be pre-gaming for the pregame. So essentially I was getting fucked up just so I could get fucked up. That's how deep I was at the time. And the last kind of like 6 months of me, drinking and stuff like that, I had kind of cut off communications with my parents and my family. I just kind of cut everyone off because of how ashamed I was, and what I had become, and had like fucked up my car too, and I was supposed to drive down, so I just like bailed and just was too ashamed to explain or even come up with a reason why. And that's out of all this, all the regrets I could have had, which don't really have much. It's this one, putting my family, my parents, my sister through that time where I would just ignore them. Luckily they were able to check in with people around me and talk to them, because they didn't know what was happening, and I didn't want them to know what was happening, but I was going through it. And so yeah, I just kind of just cut them off. I gave up on caring and just drinking away today, just because I needed to get to tomorrow. So yeah, got to that point where I just kind of I don't know, I gave up. I had a couple of people actually talk to me about it. A couple people that I lived with at the time. They were very supportive and helpful in my journey back. Blake, was an instrumental part in my recovery. Helping me realize I needed to get to rehab, and just taking the brunt of that shit from my parents and handling it. Man, it's crazy. Justin, Jaylene, shout out to you. Shout out to Riley. You guys too. I remember I would talk to you about it. Justin specifically, about like how much I would drink, and you'd be like, "Fuck, bro, you get help." And so you were always super helpful and supportive. After I got sober, it was it was about 3 months I lived there after, still, before I moved down. And you saw that beginning of that transformation, man. So, appreciate both of you, all three of y'all. Couldn't have done it like on a day-to-day basis. Like that shit, y'all were real in there. So thank you. But that combined with those people, with my immediate day-to-day, combined with a couple people that I've been very good friends with for a long time, but just, don't talk to all the time. Those kind of people were super worried about me too, because they kind of knew something was up. So I just they have this saying, this adage, like, addicts and alcoholics either get sick of it or they die. And fortunately for me, I got sick of it and still here. But yeah, I kind of hit that moment. I hit my rock bottom where, and people see, I used to think of rock bottom as this as well, but I think people think rock bottom is a negative thing, but ultimately it's a positive thing, because it's where you got your feet on the ground and pushed yourself forward. So that's where I hit kind of rock bottom. And that night I don't remember what night I called, but I called my parents that night and just started crying, told them I was sorry and what was going on, and couldn't stop drinking, and all that, basically coming out as an alcoholic, so to speak. And using that, like, it's like a, cry for help, telling them what was going on and how fucked up I was about it, and all that. So and they were awesome about it. They've been so helpful ever since. And things have been amazing ever since. But yeah, I think about the amount of times I was just on the daily, just plastered for everything. I was always drunk, was always fucked up, was always high. Just didn't care. I didn't want to feel. Didn't matter to me. I didn't want to do anything that disrupted that. So, anyways, yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I needed to break, or to where I did break. There's a lot of things I think that were internal with me. A lot of mental health things that I had never taken care of before, and realized that I had an issue. So I was building up all these crazy stories in my head for the longest time. And that's what, led me down that path. So I do have, going through rehab and stuff. I got working with the clinician there. Got diagnosed with anxiety and bipolar depression, which I do take medication for both now, and they work amazing. Like, shit's fantastic. So that was, the basis of like my addiction was very, very much mental health, which a lot of it is for most people. Anybody that's gone through trauma, or anyone that has like any sort of chemical imbalance that they're not aware of, they think they feel normal, but you don't. You're not operating to your body's. People say normal, but what I mean by that is like your body's not operating to its optimal efficiency, and if you're not doing that, how can you can't really analyze the changes and stuff in you and see where those go. The reason I was able to is because I basically started over. I'm basically like a 9.5-month-old baby, but emotionally it's accelerated, but I feel very like new to like dealing with this stuff, because I kind of am. I dealt with it in other ways by drinking it away or doing whatever. So that wasn't like, just wasn't any healthy sort of way that I dealt with it. But yeah, now I kind of am. I'm in a spot where I can just be present and be there, and now I know that like it does take work to be happy. As ironic as that sounds, you think you're like, oh, everything's great, it's gonna be happy. No, you're gonna figure out something to complain about, or you're gonna get bored and you're gonna get restless, and it's just human nature. So as long as you recognize that about yourself, and just give yourself what you're looking for. Just give yourself a chance. Also, that was another big reason I wanted to go to rehab. I was actually doing well at work too. Besides my emotional and mental breakdown, I was financially secured, doing well, excelling at work, with a management future looming in the horizon. So I realized I couldn't imagine how I could how well I could do if I was not preoccupied with this whole other fucking thing. And yeah, that's kind of all how I got to where I am. So yeah, so that's kind of how I got there. Because it's a really detailed one. I don't know how long this was, but it was long. If anybody is still listening right now, at this very moment, then I will Venmo you $5 to the first one. And you have to put in the comments $5 at this moment. Put in the comments, send me your Venmo, and I'll send it to you. But anyways, thanks for letting me babble on about that. It's kind of cool. I thought of some stuff I haven't really thought about in a while, and helps me analyze. With these, I don't even listen to these. I just rant, and then go in on whatever. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. I don't care. Sometimes there's noises in the background. I don't care. Fuck with me though. So anyways, yep, thanks everybody. This was episode 3. Alcoholics Unanimous. Once again, I'm Josh and I'm an alcoholic. Alrighty, have a good one.